All right. Hello, everyone. This is Nancy Rebecca with Intuitive Mind. And today I'm talking about the November frequency forecast that we can kind of expect to see over this next month that is coming up. So, very excited to see you. Good morning, Wilma, and good morning, Cami. So I'm getting over, I think I've been saying this for a couple of weeks now. I think I'm heading into like my fourth week with this cold. So I have been hearing from everybody that this cold that's going around is really hanging on. I've never been down and out, but I have been taking naps the past few days. And so I thought, wow, this morning I'm doing much better. And now I can feel that my voice is kind of wavering a little bit. But I will not waver on the information that's going to be coming through. So I'm super excited. Good morning, Kim. It's always so nice to see you this morning. So some of the questions that I have is, do you think that your mind alone can help you solve problems to find a solution? Are you one of those that believes that if you just think hard enough and you work hard enough and you analyze hard enough, that you're going to be able to solve all of the issues that are going on in life? So that's the way the majority of the world thinks, and all of that is changing in November. Good morning, Verna. Nice to see you too. Hi, Warrior Girl. So, do you believe that you are a result of the conditions of your upbringing and nothing can change that? That's how most of the people believe in the world as well, is that we are the product of the situations that we grew up with, the parental influences, and that we are really kind of just stuck with the cards that we've been dealt, and there's nothing that can change that. That is also changing in November. Good morning, Jennifer. Another question I have is, are you a traditionalist, or do you believe that society needs to be more open for change? And what if I told you today, this is what Spirit said to me the other day, what if I told you today that you, Nancy, have already changed 5 times? This is what Spirit said. You've already made 5 shifts today. So even though we are not into the month of November yet, changes are already happening in the frequency, been happening in the last couple of months. In October, we've gone through the solar eclipse. Now just coming up, we're about ready to go through a lunar eclipse. And those eclipses, as unusual as they are, will be influencing us for the next 6 months. So even though I'm going to be talking about November and the big changes happening in November, these influences are going to be kind of this reverberating waves through our lives, through the world, and through our lives individually over the next 6 months. So big changes. November, where people are catching up with me this morning. Hi, just want to say, where are you tuning in from? What are you drinking this morning? And give me one word that describes how you're feeling. Because I can tell you, for me personally, as a clairvoyant, psychic, also as a registered nurse who is insanely curious about the human energy field, the human body, and at an even bigger level, the frequencies, that if I think of the earth as a kind of as a human body, as a physical body, it's like, what is the earth going through that's impacting us at the human level? So I've been working as a full-time psychic and psychic development teacher for almost 30 years now. And so what I'm witnessing now, I have never witnessed in my personal entire life. So I'm going to share that with you. I call it the Book of Nancy, because what that means is it's a truth for me. It may not necessarily be a truth for you, but maybe some of the things I'm talking about, you'll be able to find some similarities, some synchronicities to, that make sense. So coffee from High River, feeling tossed around but energetic. That's a really great way to describe it, Verna. Very tossed around. Kimberly, also fatigued, been as I said, been taking little kind of power naps every day. That's been helping me. Tuning in from Vancouver, drinking coffee, Seattle coffee, pulsing and ready. Wow, I did hear that southern Alberta did have snow. So, all right, so let's go. According to the book of Nancy, for me personally, this November in the frequency forecast is the single largest shift of the ages that I've experienced in my lifetime. And I'm excited that I get to experience this dramatic, dynamic shift in frequency and in humanity. And Pam Gregory calls this time the last big push before we move deeper into the year 2024, when things will start to smooth out into a more expansive sense of freedom. So November, if you just wrote down one word on your piece of paper, metamorphosis is what you want to write down. That's what's going to be happening here in November. It's already beginning to shift and change. So what does metamorphosis mean? It refers to the profound and often dramatic transformation or change in form, structure, your true nature, that dramatic change in your nature or character of a living being or thing. It is the process of significant and usually irreversible change. Irreversible change. So what does that mean? Well, if you think about the metamorphosis of a butterfly, and I find this quite fascinating because you've got the larva that goes in, it creates that little hard shell of the cocoon on the outside to really protect it. It completely liquefies on the inside of the cocoon, rearranges itself, and grows these beautiful butterflies before opening up that cocoon and spreading your wings. So if you just want to hang on to that image, that's what's going to be happening in November, is this radical metamorphic change that's going to begin in November, but it's still going to be going over several months and even in the next couple of years as you are really growing into this beautiful butterfly. And I'll just refer to it as the world turning into this beautiful butterfly. Now, I will tell you, my nature is very optimistic, but my nature is also no nonsense. I'm also very practical by nature. I've got my feet on the ground, but I cannot deny what I'm seeing as a clairvoyant, because I can see in the spiritual world the same time I see the physical world. Let's say this time last year, if I looked out my front window, I might see spirits moving around that look very human. In another dimension, they're moving around. And right now, if I looked out my front window at my neighborhood, I'm going to see many, many light beings, many, many star beings. They're very active right now. Excuse me. And it's almost like you can just tell they've got work to be done. Like they're not even looking up at me. They don't even notice that I'm looking at them. They're busy, busy, busy helping to prepare us and get us spiritually and physically ready for this metamorphic change that's coming up. So in a broader sense of metamorphosis, when we're talking about that earthly change, the broader sense describes fundamental radical change, whether it's a concept, an organization, a society, or your life. So Elisa's saying, yeah, I've been feeling really achy in the joints. Those are what we would call, as your human body is becoming more of a light body, meaning you've got to shed some of those heavier, denser energies. Those joints they can get sore and tender. Not for everybody. Everybody's going to have different types of ascension symptoms, I would call them. For me, I feel like I'm just detoxing in my whole field, and especially in my lungs and my chest right now. So I know that even though I have a cold, it's more than just a cold. I know that when I get on the other side of that, that I'm going to be dramatically changed. And yet, as Spirit said, or the star beings are saying, well, Nancy, you just went through 5 shifts of change today. I know I'm going to dramatically continue to shift. And anybody on the face of the planet, we have billions of people, are also shifting at the same time. So what's happening is in November, this large galactic influence of higher frequencies, higher knowledge is crumbling old belief systems, traditions, stuck societal norms, while also making way for humanity to be like the phoenix rising out of the crumbling ashes to really produce the outcome of a much more resilient, unified consciousness, societal gathering where we are all focused on moving in the same direction. That sounds pretty exciting, doesn't it? But again, are you going to wake up on November 1st and experience that? Probably not. But over the next couple of years, we're going to really see rapid changes. And there's that sense of, I want to assure you that you are being given and provided everything that you need to make it through these shifts, just like that metamorphosis of the butterfly does not need to think about what's happening on the inside of that cocoon. That butterfly knows and trusts the nature of their own being, the nature of your own spirit, the nature of the changes that are happening in the multidimensional world, that it's going to happen whether you put your attention on it or not. So these blue celestial cosmic light codes are coming through, and they're coming through in 3 enormous blue light cosmic celestial waves over the month of November. And actually starting on November 1st will be the first big, and I think it'll be my sense is the largest wave. Not saying it's the most intense wave that we're going to experience in November, but it will be the largest, most expansive wave. So what does that mean? That means it's expanding your consciousness. It's awakening you. And so that will start on November 4th. You can get more information about that on my website under Blue Light Movement. And I will make sure that the link gets included here. Pam Gregory, my favorite astrologist, refers to November as the time of endings and beginnings as we enter into what she calls the peak moment of intensity. So this isn't just a peak, tomorrow's going to be intense. She also describes this as this, we haven't seen a shift like this in hundreds of years. And we're not going to experience a shift like this for hundreds of more years. It is a single, huge, dramatic event that's happening in November. Pam Gregory talks about the Mars-Scorpio combination is going to be unleashing us as the feisty street fighter. So if I put that, I just got back from Ireland. So if I put that in kind of the Celtic mysticism, magical terms that have come through in Ireland, it's like that the inner spiritual warrior is kind of standing up, encompassing your entire field. Does that mean you're going to go out and kick some butt? Probably not, but you're no longer going to be able to compromise yourself. You're no longer going to be able to kind of just lay down and roll over. You're just going to be able to just stand up in the strength and resilience that's going to be one of the outcomes of this blue light shift. However, what Pam Gregory talks about, and I'm kind of laughing about this, is that there's 6 planets currently in fixed astrological signs. Good morning, Eric. Fixed signs. Why am I laughing? Because I predominantly have a lot of fixed signs in my astrological chart. So what does that mean? What that means is that, let's say you and I are going to go to the movies and we're going to go have dinner first, and we really are hungry for, Asian food or Mexican food. And then suddenly we find out our favorite restaurant is closed for construction, and the movie theater's power went out. For me, that would be like, wait a minute. My friend might say, oh, well, let's go to this other movie theater. Let's go to this other restaurant. And I might be like, no, forget it. I just don't want to go. It's like, I'm not going to be able to shift that fast. It might have taken me days to make a shift before. I can do it in minutes, but still most people would be like, oh, no big deal. Let's go do something different. So when you have 6 planets in that fixed kind of dig in your heels, I'm not going to make a shift. You can throw the biggest galactic, celestial, cosmic blue light at me that you want, and I'm not doing it. Yeah, that's where the intensity is coming from. That intensity is coming from, hell no, I won't go to that inner fight while you've got this tsunami wave of change that's happening. So I'm right there with you. Got to go with the flow, but it's not going to be easy when your body doesn't want to make that move. Morning, Shelley. Yeah, and Eric's saying, I've been feeling a bit anxious these days. So lots and lots, people are feeling lots of different things. So we are in the midst of an inner and outer war between old traditional ways of living and new modern ways of expansion. So how do we benefit from our traditional ways? So tradition, cultural identity. So it helps you identify with the culture that you live in, of history, values, identity, connection to community, having a higher sense of belonging, connecting to other individuals at their roots. So if we just think of, let's say, Christmas, I know not everybody celebrates Christmas, but that's probably one of the biggest predominant traditions that we have, that we just kind of follow along, but most of us don't even know where it came from. But I'm kind of laughing because it's like this, there's this sense of, it always conjures up these warm feelings of hot cocoa and, a crackling fire and colorful lights on the tree. But then when you get there, everybody has too much to drink and has big fights. But we still, the next year, will long for that tradition. All right, these are traditions. Social cohesion helps bring people together, fosters a sense of unity. Hi, Roxanne. It's a way, traditions, to pass on knowledge, like oral traditions. So whether you're from an indigenous community or you're from, another Western-minded community, it's those traditions help us to kind of pass on stories, passing on knowledge from one generation to the next. And not all traditions are positive, that we've hung on to and can be really strict with, even though it's kind of be hurtful and harmful to others. But as society evolves, often we evolve more into meaningful, inclusive relationships. But traditions can also provide stability and comfort. Like, you just know you can always rely on those traditions to always be there. So we can consider those traditions anchor points. Gives you a sense of purpose, respects our ancestors, the past, what they've been through. And then what are the benefits of society's ability to accept change? And that's where we are right now. And I know all of you on here, it's like change, 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 because it's almost like we've been going through is so painful. It's just like, you know, sitting on a thorn. It's like you have to stand up and get more comfortable. And that's why we want and desire for change. So the benefits include innovation and progress. Societies that embrace change are more likely to foster innovation and progress. New ideas, technologies, approaches, improvements in life science, medicine, technology, economic growth, social, cultural diversity. One of the biggest changes that I see is going to happen is that there is this explosive awakening of your psychic intuitive ability. So, intuition is where um, you're going to be able to feel more. You're going to be able to hear things. You're going to be able to see. You're going to be able to know things in a more expansive way. The psychic ability is to connect soul to soul with other people. You've got that psychic kind of sixth sense. This is rapidly opening and awakening in each other and all of you, where you just know things and you don't know how you know them. So this is going to maybe freak some people out. And for other people who've been waiting for something like this to happen, you're going to get super excited about it. But traditionally, we've been taught that those things are not aligned with the divine, the source, that those things, um, being intuitive, being psychic, is probably not aligned with God. So these are all the kind of traditional beliefs and then shifting to new beliefs, but while kind of also anchoring into some healthy traditions. So this is this body movement, psyche movement, spiritual movement that we're going to be experiencing in November. So what do I write here? Striking a balance between tradition and innovation is the key to harnessing the benefits of societal change while maintaining stability and continuity. Okay. So one of the things that Spirit told me was when you are in the midst of the dark ages, so there's this 26,000 year kind of calendar, and the Mayans really talked about these cycles, and I could get it wrong, maybe it's 23,000 years, but anyway, it's a lot of years. And you can look up the kind of cycles of change, and you can see right now that our whole world on earth is coming out of a 5,000 year cycle of the dark ages. It doesn't take a psychic to tell you, wow, things are pretty dark. I didn't know they could get this dark. And every time I say that, it seems to get even darker. But when we look historically over the last 5,000 years, it used to be even darker than it is now. And so what's happening is the frequency of Mother Earth is going up. That darkness that's kind of been stuck like granite in the earth is starting to break open. It's starting to crumble. It's starting to liquefy, like the butterfly in the cocoon, the larvae in the cocoon, starting to liquefy. That blue light's going to help liquefy all of it, so that when we come out the other side, things have dramatically changed. Let's see. So we have some of the darkest human behaviors we are witnessing coming to the surface. That internal battle of and a desire for vengeance. Those are still some of the last kind of remaining sparks that many of us are feeling. And I can tell you, I've been doing this work a long time. I've been meditating. I've been shifting blocks of energy. And you place me in the right circumstances where you're hurting or harming my children or my family or my students or community, you're going to see this rise of this warrior, inner warrior come out to defend our position and to protect. And so these are some of the things that are going to be rising to the surface over the next few months. So I have so much to say, and I think I'm doing pretty good at putting it in a nutshell. I will write my blog about it, so you'll be able to get much more information about it. But the blue light shifting is going to shift us into higher states of consciousness, preparing us to shift back into the golden ages. So if you were to look at that little round calendar, and it shows that little mark in the calendar where you've got the dark ages and you've got the golden ages, we're right there on the precipice. It's like our toes are hanging over the edge of the cliff where we're ready to spread our wings, butterfly wings, and we're ready to fly. We're ready to make that leap, but we're still in that in-between state where we're leaving the dark ages behind us and we haven't quite made that leap where we can fly, where we feel light and we feel exhilarated and joyous and blissed out. We're kind of in that in-between phase, and it is not comfortable. And I've done thousands of readings of the human energy field, and someone may come in at the lowest point in their life at a human level, but when I look at their spirit, it's like, holy smokes, you're a powerhouse. And so I do believe that as spirit, we chose and we were asked to come to earth, and only the strongest of the strongest are here at this time to help hold that focus. It's like, hold the focus, hold the edge. Yep, I know it's scary. Let's jump together. And that's really where we are right now, coming up in the month of November. So some of you can feel the despair now, which means your heart is already in the frequency of the golden age. Some people aren't feeling that despair. There's still that sense of numbness. So we're kind of holding the light while people start to feel that compassion come up. We can recognize the despair that's in the world. So here's the thing. When the blue light surges come through in November, the frequency will jump so high, we're already feeling it, that the majority of our consciousness is going to be out of our body. So I was talking to my students last night, their eyes got about this big and they're like, okay. It's like, well, you leave your body probably once or twice a day. So this isn't unusual, but the level of, it's almost like going to like the 12th dimensional frequency when we live in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th dimensional frequency. So there's going to be this big surge, like a big wave, and you're like that surfer riding the wave at the top. Majority of consciousness will be out of the body, far beyond the 5th dimension. And your body will be like, because people are like, okay, so what's this going to look like, Nancy? And I can tell you, I asked the same question, like, what's this going to look like? Like, if we're that far out of our body, what's going to be who's minding the store, right? If our soul, our spirit is not fully in our body, who's minding the store? Who's minding this 3rd dimensional realm that we're all living in? And right now, if you watch the news, it doesn't look like anybody's minding the store. It's just like an all-out war everywhere you turn. So this is what Spirit answered to me. It said, your body's going to be like, the parent is away. The parent just left the house and the body's been left home alone. So it's like the unsupervised children. For those of you who have been working with your human body self enough to know, you know how to manage that kind of inner 3rd dimensional human child. If you've been managing it, your inner child, who's home alone, may behave responsibly, may still make sure and do their chores, make sure and get all their homework done, make sure the house is clean while the parents are gone. So your body's going to be on this kind of automated system of just remaining in that stable state. Or your body, if you haven't been able to kind of manage the energy field of your body, who is now suddenly unleashed into freedom, the parents are gone, is you're the type of body that's going to call everybody and say, hey, big party at the house, tearing up the house, drinking, overeating, drugging, sexting. So this is why I can't answer for you how this is going to feel to you. Spiritually, you're going through this rapid awakening, evolutionary state of consciousness at the highest level of spiritual education. You're still going to need to bring that information down to the rogue body that just may be running wild, or a body that's ready for you to come back and get to work. And I don't know what kind of energetic system that you have and the way that your mind is going to think. So how can you help with that? Well, you can start talking to your bodies every day and say, hey, but we're about ready to go through a big frequency shift, like a really big frequency shift. And so, yeah, give your body things to do. Go exercise, eat well, get some good sleep, drink lots of water. And so that your body doesn't kind of freak out and feel like, oh, I need to have a couple of whiskeys to help my body calm down, or I need to smoke a lot of pot, or I need to distract with video games, or, binge watch Netflix shows. Those are the things. And there's nothing wrong with any of that within reason. But November, you want to be taking care of your body. So when your higher self returns with this high level of knowledge, you're ready for it, right? Okay. Yeah, this is where those who've been managing the energy field will find your skills coming already in handy. So sudden radical shifts of cosmic winds of change are blowing through. This is the other thing. Creativity. I've been talking to you all about the creative renaissance that happened. What I found when I'm going through history is following times of extreme turmoil, there have been historically creative surges, creative renaissances that have happened. So enormous artistic and music and plays and poetry and books have been written, like this mass production of creativity. Right now, at this moment in time, you're not even waiting for it, it's here. So we're experiencing, and some of you may already be experiencing, these enormous surges of creativity. So here I am in Ireland. I'm laying in the middle of this enormous stone circle on the ground, and I hear this voice say, you are pregnant with this creative surge. Now deliver that creativity into the world, meaning take action. You feel like baking bread. You're like, why do I need to bake bread? I can go to the store and buy bread. Well, it means your body's wanting to express creativity, or knitting or crocheting or painting or beading. Cleaning can be very creative. Doing psychic readings can be very creative. So your bodies right now are wanting to express a lot of creativity. But when I was lying in that circle, it was like I became pregnant again with creativity and birth. This must have happened like 9 cycles. So basically what I was being shown was we are in an enormous creative time. So if you can do something creative every day, that's going to help you in this month of November. In Ireland, Queen Anya, who is the spirit that came through to me in that stone circle, she is the queen of the fairies in the county Limerick, describes this time as creativity, birth, fill, release. And what she said was the underworld of magic and mysticism is now ready to make its way back to the surface of what they call the middle world. So we live in the middle world. We have the underworld and the upper world. Upper world is super active with star beings. And yeah, so you're going to get all excited and giggly about the magic that's coming to Earth. But if your head is down and buried in a video game that you've been playing for 8 hours on end, you can miss some of the magic that's going around. So again, November, the balance between the old and the new, creativity daily is essential at this time. And thank goodness, every single Thursday at 7 a.m., I'm going to come on here live on YouTube, and we're going to be talking about it and experiencing it and sharing this great time of change together. So I have definitely run over the mark, no surprise there, but let's do a little meditation. So we're going to do just a little meditation about standing in the doorway of change. So, and we're going to work with a little of the blue light, cosmic celestial energy as well. I'm just going to say, this is an exciting time. I can feel a little trepidation out there. So just, yeah, it's exciting. The body may be a little nervous, but the spirit is beyond excited. So let's close your eyes, tap into the excitement of your spirit while taking a moment to reassure your body it's going to be okay. And thank your spirit for really supporting you during this great time of change and helping you to remember it is an exciting time of metamorphosis. And if you think about metamorphosis, which is radical change that cannot go back to the way it was, what type of grounding would you like to use right now? Would you like to imagine that your grounding is butterflies ready for flight? Would you like to imagine that your grounding is an ancient oak tree from the underworld filled with magic? Would you like to imagine your grounding is fairies and little people or unicorns? Or would you like to imagine, your grounding is like a log house? I mean, it can be any kind of grounding you want, but go ahead and ground yourself to the center of the earth to help release all that has already changed that you no longer need. Several times a day, you will want to remind yourself of today's date and your current age. So go ahead and let yourself know the date you're actually listening to this. And remind yourself of how old you are. Because as you're letting go of things you no longer need, it might be from childhood. So you want to make sure that you are tapped into all the wisdom that you've grown into in your life. If you have physical blocks like in health, emotional blocks of instability, mental blocks of overthinking, I promise you, nothing going on at the human level can stop this metamorphosis, this transformation from happening. Nothing can change it. It might slow down so that you can easily integrate changes over the next months and years, but it cannot block it completely. It's just not strong enough. So now let's go ahead and imagine that golden cosmic celestial light of blue coming down through above your house or your apartment, your home, through the roof into the room that you're in, and then just allow this blue to infuse all the way down through your aura and your body. Let the blue infuse all illness, emotional, mental instability, to start dissolving. What no longer serves you. Let it liquefy and drain down your grounding. If you can imagine the song of whales and dolphins, for some of you, maybe you want to even play in the realm of the mer people, mermaids, mermen. You can do that as well. Tap into that sound as you are tapped into the blue, and the sound frequency can break up any blocks at the physical, emotional, mental levels. Working with that incredible imagination of yours, imagine that you are walking, you're at the end of the path of where we have been the last 5,000 years, and you are now stepping into a golden doorway. The doorway is wide open. You're stepping into a golden doorway, and just stand right in the middle of knowing that you are leaving behind old cycles of the dark ages, but you haven't quite moved into the new cycles of the golden ages. So just stand in that doorway for a moment so you can get a sense about what it feels like to you, what it might feel like to humanity to be right there on the line of change. Now step through the doorway and just step over onto the other side of the golden ages. And go in as far as you like, as far as is comfortable for you, and then stand there a moment to experience what that potential feels like for you. Now go ahead and move back towards the doorway. You can remain where you are if that's comfortable for you, or you can move back towards the doorway if that's more comfortable. And you can move back on to this side of the doorway if that's even more comfortable for you. So take a moment to just kind of move back and forth until you find your sweet spot to go on with your day. Remind yourself of today's date. Remind yourself of your current age. Thank your body, thank your spirit for this, taking this brief moment of meditative experience. And then whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and stretch out your body. So some of you experienced nothing. This does not mean you're broken. I've been watching the energy field. There was a big shift that happened. There was some heavy, dense energy that shifted on out. Some of you might not feel it for a couple of days or at all. Some of you immediately felt a shift. I'd love to hear from you in the comment section about what your experience was moving, standing in the doorway, maybe moving ahead a little bit. I'd love to hear from you. But as we're wrapping up, we are going to be together every single week on Thursday mornings on YouTube, 7 a.m. live. We're going to be talking about these changes. Also going to be talking about the star beings that I'm witnessing that are coming in by the thousands. So we're going to talk a little bit about those personality traits. We're going to talk about, do you have star being ancestral lineage in your genetics and your DNA? We're going to be talking about all those kind of celestial galactic things. But as a nurse, I'm always going to also bring it back to the body, because we're going to be nothing without our human body. Our human body needs to come with us. Now, this coming Saturday morning, I have a Facebook page called the Blue Light Movement page. I'm giving a free talk at 8 o'clock in the morning about the blue light. So all you have to do is ask to be a member of that page. We'll bring you right on in. You only need to say that you play well with others, but we're going to be talking about the blue light. For those who've registered for any of the 3 different packages of blue light events, also I'll put the link here so you can take a look at that. Saturday, we're doing a group reading to prepare the human energy field for this, metamorphic time of shifts at the human level. So we're going to help prepare the human energy field during a group reading that we'll have on Saturday, the 28th. And that is a paid event you will need to register for. It will be worth every penny, I promise you. So thank you so much for joining me, hanging in there. Please get on my mailing list, because I write my mailing list, those who are on my mailing list, a lot. So go to intuitivemind.org and then just click on to receive the intuitive style questionnaire. That will put you on my mailing list so that you can get all the information every couple of days. So glad that you had that experience. So Amy's saying it was beautiful. I feel less fear. I felt a memory, like I knew this was coming and why I'm here. Priya saying, I love this. I definitely ran straight through the gates. I'm excited for this time. Verna saying, awesomeness, wonderful energy through the door. I'm staying here. Wahoo. All right, everyone. Have an awesome day, weekend, and fasten your seatbelts, because we're in for a really exciting time. All right, take care, everyone. Thanks for being here with me today. Bye-bye.